Today we're gonna have a look at one of the coolest road-going cars of the late 1990s, and that is of course the CLK-GTR. I'm gonna take this design and yes, I'm gonna attempt to modernize this into something that could be built today, because it's when you look at the CLK-GTR, it looks like the first generation CLK just smushed and stretched basically. So if we take some design cues from modern day Mercedes, as keeping these proportions and try to fit that into this package, I think we can make something really cool. So let's jump straight into the redesign. Let me give you some background on how the CLK-GTR actually came to be, because in order to enter the FIA GT1 class, every manufacturer was required to build at least 25 street legal versions of the race cars, and even though the FIA GT1 class was cancelled in 1999, Mercedes still had to build and deliver the 25 cars as they promised FIA that they would. Mercedes had only built one road-going car in 1997 in order to meet the initial FIA requirements, but this car was not for sale and it was kept by Mercedes themselves. For the remaining 24 cars, each was built by AMG between the winter of 1998 and the summer of 1999, and there really weren't a lot of differences compared to the race car, and that's what makes this car so special. It's essentially a race car for the road, and as you would expect, driver comfort and refinements were kept to a minimum in the construction of the road cars, as Mercedes-Benz wished to not only offer customers a true race car, but also to attempt to keep the price as low as possible. And this is pretty funny considering that the Guinness Book of World Records recorded the CLK-GTR as the most expensive production car ever built at the time, priced at over $1.5 million. So the goal for Mercedes to keep it cheap, I don't know what, maybe cheap means something different for Mercedes, but 1.5 million, that's definitely not a cheap car. Some of the more luxurious features of the homologated car were, for example, the leather interior, and you also got air conditioning in the road-going car. In addition, two small storage lockers were also built underneath each door, so you could go on a weekend trip, I guess, in your CLK GTR if that's something you wanted to do. For driver safety, traction control was also added to the car. The road car retained much of the design of the original CLK GTR, including the V12 engine with 612 horsepower and 572 pound-feet of torque. Mercedes themselves, they claim that the CLK GTR does 0 to 60 in about 3.8 seconds with a top speed of 214 miles per hour. One key difference in the road car was the rear wing, which was more of an integrated wing instead of the fixed separate racing wing on the race car. 20 coupes and a total of 6 roadster were made. Initially, Mercedes had only planned to build 5 roadster, but an additional 6 roadster was made at the end of the production run. While most of the coupes were finished in silver, chassis number 19 has a dark blue paint scheme, while number 20 has an all black paint. Chassis 17 was formerly painted red, but was repainted in silver when sold right around the corner here from me at Ferrari Fort Lauderdale. Me personally, I would have to go with the silver as well, because I think it feels right to have the CLK GTR in silver. It's such a deep and shiny silver, it looks like you can dive into it. And speaking of shiny paint, if you're like me and want to protect the paint of your car without spending thousands of dollars, you're gonna love today's sponsor, Avalon King. Avalon King were kind enough to send me their $69.99 Armor Shield 9 kit to test on my own truck. Avalon King says that this ceramic coating is like wax on steroids. It gives your car a glass-like shine with a hydrophobic surface, making it super easy to clean and maintain. It also protects your car from all kinds of dirt, weather, and the elements for 2 to 5 years, and it's not just for metal surfaces of your vehicle, it covers windows, lights, plastics, and chrome. The liquid itself utilizes nanotechnology to seal all surface pores and cure to a hardened glossy shield after about 48 hours. The kit contains everything you need to achieve a professional finish that typically costs over $1,000, and considering the price point, I was really surprised at how well this worked. Try it out for yourself, click the link in the description to order your kit today, and if you're interested, I'll link my full review video from my third channel down in the description as well. Thanks to Avalon King for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the redesign. So out of the 26 cars that were produced, 2 of them were equipped with right-hand drive steering, one coupe and one roadster. These were constructed for the Sultan of Brunei. However, they were both sold in 2009 by RM Auctions in London. So now, when talking about the design of the CLK GTR, it literally looks like a stretched and squashed CLK, but the road car shared only the rear lights and the quad headlights with the original CLK. So now, what do we want to do here in this redesign? Well, as I said in the beginning, I think the proportions of this, they could work today. You can kind of see that with the Mercedes-AMG 1, for example, which is a car I think it feels like the AMG 1 has been in development for almost a decade now. It seems the delays for that car are never ending, but hopefully we get to see the AMG 1 at some point. So with this redesign, what we need to do, we need to remove all the late 90s styling in the car. We need to smooth out the surfacing as well, and I want to have it be more stylized when it comes to the air intakes and outlets, for example, while still keeping the functionality of this car. I want to keep the front end with the very slopey front end is something that I want to keep while upgrading the graphic features in that area to be modernized, and taking inspiration from a lot of modern Mercedeses, kind of mix them together to create a new front end for the CLK GTR. One thing I really love about the CLK GTR are these 18-inch wheels. I think they're one of the best looking wheels today, and they kind of remind me of the brand new Mercedes S-Class wheels, one of the wheels that they offered with the new S-Class. So I think I'm gonna take those wheels and apply them to here, because they look like a modernized version of the original 18 inches that the AMG GTR had, and I think it would look cool. And then the front end is going to be inspired by the AMG GT, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep the side mirrors on the front fenders. I think that's a really cool, unique design solution for the CLK GTR, but I decided to remove those and maybe make it a little bit more modern by having them in a traditional placement right at the base of the A-pillar, and I think that looks pretty cool as well. When it comes to the roof scoop, we can still have it be super functional, but just add some aerodynamic feeling to it by just tilting it backwards a little bit, and I think that also looks very cool, specifically with a super aggressive front end that has the same kind of angle to it like we have on the roof scoop. Moving to the back of the car, I want to have, of course, the same integrated wing like we have in the original, but I want to keep that at a modern take as well and kind of make it look a little more sharper and more angular in its design. Overall, this was a super interesting redesign to do, very challenging, but at the same time, when you work with proportions like this, it really isn't that hard to make it look good. The problem is we want to have parts of this, all the graphic features of this car work well together, and I think that was the biggest challenge here. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Avalon King for sponsoring this video. Go and grab your Avalon King Armor Shield 9 kit down in the description. You can also check out my full review down there as well. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.